Okay, so welcome back. It's been a minute. It was the holidays, and then I got busy doing other stuff. Apologies for the lack of upload. Hopefully YouTube doesn't absolutely just not show this video to anyone. Today's kind of a new one we're doing. So I'm going on tour in like a week and decided, of course, to redo what I've been using for my pedalboard. So if you're new to this channel, welcome. What's up? Thank you for being here. If you've been around, you probably know that I use a Quad Cortex primarily. And this has been the pedalboard that I've been using for the last few months. Just imagine the Quad Cortex here. And it's been great because I kind of want to do a hybrid setup for a little bit. And I'm going to revisit this pedalboard when I'm home. So we're not going to really get into the details of like why or what or whatever else. But for the road, everything's going to be MIDI controlled and everything else. And so I just don't have a need for like this big of a board. And with traveling and everything else like that, I like to have a small compact setup. But I still wanted to put it on a board because I still don't feel comfortable just putting the Quad Cortex on the floor by itself. I know a lot of people do it. If you're one of those people, that's great. But I like to have it on a board, especially to use an external power supply. So first things first, we need to completely take this apart and everything. And I'm not going to bother that with you guys. I'm going to do that by myself. So we'll be back here in just a minute when I have what I need, and we'll start getting into what we're going to put on the actual pedal board itself. So I'll see you guys in a second. Okay, so we're back now. All the pedals have been de-velcroed, removed from the pedal board and everything, so we can get started. And man, if you haven't done it before, dude, just removing dual lock off the back of pedals is a pain. So kind of the thought process behind this board, we'll get into what we're using here in a second, is just having a mini travel board with the Quad Cortex obviously is the main unit, and having something that's just really just going to kind of keep everything protected a little bit better than as opposed to just having it on the floor. Because the main things I'll be using are just the Quad Cortex and then a wireless system. So I don't need that big of a board. I'll grab the board I'm using here in a second. It just arrived in the mail, so I guess I'll do kind of an unboxing video. But the board I decided to go with is a temple board, and I wanted to initially do the Solo 18 setup that I'm sure you've seen 1,000 times because it's just such a clean setup with essentially just the Quad Cortex. It's like the perfect size for it, and then like one other pedal, which a lot of times someone will use like an expression pedal, but also my plan was to use the wireless. However, that was sold out like everywhere. I couldn't find one. I tried to find one like used, hoping there would be maybe one on like Marketplace or something in LA. Couldn't find one anywhere. And even the next size up, I think it was the Duo 17, which is what I got. Every other color was sold out except for like they had a Sweetwater had I called my rep. I called my rep actually for the first time as opposed to him calling me. But they happened to have a handful of the gray ones left in stock. So that's what I decided to go with. We'll pull it out here. Let's go ahead and just grab it actually. Wow, this is small. Okay, so like I was saying, pedal board I decided to go with was the Temple Board Duo 17. And yeah, I tried to find the Solo 18 and just couldn't find it anywhere. So thankfully they had a few left of the next size up, the Duo 17, and I figured I might as well try to take advantage of the extra space because my initial plan was literally to just bring the Quad Cortex and a wireless unit. That's it, nothing else. And then wrap everything up with a nice bow. Like I said, use the, I got the Canvas HP power supply recently. Use that to power it because I've said it before, I'll say it again. I just don't love the power supply on the actual Quad Cortex. I have a fear that someone's going to come on stage and like kick it the wrong way and it's going to snap off and it's going to be a whole thing. So use my proper power supply to power both units. But with the bigger one, I want to try and see, I know I can for sure I did, just a little mock-up on Pedalboard Planner, but I did just buy this compressor a few months ago and I love it. It's awesome. There is going to be a full review coming on this. Well, talking about my thoughts on it as well if you're interested. Probably in a few months, unfortunately. But I do want to take this with me since I'll have the room. And then I might bring my Morning Star as well because I don't know if I'll be running tracks for playback or not yet. I don't think I am for this run, but it's nice to have the option, and if I can fit it, I don't know, I just kind of want to have it on there for funsies, make the board look a little bigger. So let's go ahead and take a look. Here's the board itself. I've never done a temple board before either, by the way. I've always loved them, and I've always wanted to, but I've always been so scared to commit to the temple board thing because I like to change stuff up so kind of frequently. Even this board itself was kind of a last minute, like, I should probably put together a board for this tour thing instead of just throwing the Helix on or the Quad Cortex on the floor. So I'm really hoping that I like it because if I do, that means when I get home, like I said, when I revisit rebuilding a bigger hybrid board, so like and subscribe for that. I'll probably end up ordering another temple board. Nice. Really lightweight. Cool. Yeah, I've never actually had one of these before. Seen them 1,000 times, obviously, you know. Of course, we got our Sweetwater candy. Thank you to them. I ordered, of course, a variety of the little pedal plates, kind of based on what I should need, so hopefully that will cover everything just fine. I think I'm just going to Velcro, like throw some more dual lock on the power supply underneath, so I can kind of position it wherever it needs to where it can, you know, efficiently supply power to everything. And then, of course, I got one of the little side jacks as well. Oh, nice long screwdriver. That's going to come in handy for so many things. Thank you. Thank you, Temple. But yeah, just one of the little side modules. I thought about getting a couple of their other modules, but I don't think I really will need them for this run since I'm using a wireless and whatever else. I'm just going XLR outs. It's not worth it to me to get all the other stuff yet, but I can see myself upgrading it in the future. And even, I actually wanted to get it, but it looked like it was sold out. But they have a little USB like side mount thing that I think that looks really cool. So we'll probably be adding some stuff like that to either this board or, like I said, maybe if I do another bigger temple board later, do some more stuff with the side mounts. But the thing that'll determine whether the Morningstar is going to come along for the ride is if it'll fit or not, because I don't know if it's going to be able to fit with the MIDI cable. You know what? Actually, I think I can get that to fit because I have some MIDI cables that are kind of flatter. I think I can make that work. I think that would work. And then compressor will probably go down here, and then wireless will go up here. So let's go ahead and grab the wireless really quick. I just picked this up today. Supported my local guitar center, you know. So this is, real quick, this is the wireless that I went with. I've seen this for years, and it seems like it's still a pretty good wireless. Quick, easy. I was using the NUX B8 wireless for a long time. Up until fairly recently, I decided to get rid of it because it's a really solid wireless. It's really cool. That's the one where, you know, you can, like, the transmitter itself charges on the receiver, like, magnetically, which is, like, a super awesome feature. So that means you basically, like, don't have to worry about it dying. Like, you know, I basically just, like, before a show, like, after sound check, just put it on my pedal board, which is just going to be charging. So it's always good to go by showtime. But it would cut out on me every now and then. And even, like, just for a second, that's still not great. So I decided to upgrade to this, and hopefully this work. And I can power it with my, you know, similarly with the other one, of course, as well, but can power it with a pedal board power supply, which is great. So it'll tie everything up in a nice little bow. And that should fit perfectly right there. Nice. So that's kind of the layout that I think we're going to go with. So yeah, that's the layout. I think that'll be great. Nice, clean layout for tour. And gives me access to, like I said, one other fun pedal that I like to have. This compressor just rocks. I definitely don't need to bring it. I could very easily just capture it and store it in the Quad Cortex. But to fill up the space and give it a little bit more extra room, you know, make it look a little bit more full, figured why not, right? So, all right, let's go ahead and see. What else do we have in here? For this guy, we have our pack. One thing, quick mini review on this, because I haven't ever used it before, but something I love. So this is rechargeable via USB. And I was watching a video on it yesterday, and or a couple days ago or something. It said it was rechargeable via USB, and I was like, oh great, it's probably going to be like the one micro USB cable that I'll have to carry around now, because the guitar community is always so slow to upgrade USBs. But pleasantly surprised, this charges with USB-C. So that's awesome. Huge shout out to Shure for that, because that means I could just charge it with my like phone cable or my Nintendo Switch cable or the whatever of the 1,000 USB-C cables anyone is always going to have on hand on tour or wherever I'm at. So thank you to them for that. And then this probably will be, yeah, this is our power supply, but we're not going to bother with this because this can be powered via 9 volt as long as it's got 400 milliamps of power, which this guy has that. Oh, yep, there's our cable and USB charger and our battery and a wall brick. Wow, they really did they kind of give you everything. That's cool. I actually wasn't expecting, maybe I'm just so used to Apple at this point, which just doesn't give you anything anymore. But yeah, they actually gave me a USB wall charger and a USB-A to USB-C cable. So I'm assuming you could charge this with whatever USB-C cable, but that is really nice that they included that. And here's our little cable. First thing I want to do though is, I'll probably wait to mount the power supply, but I am going to screw him in underneath the pedal board. So we'll go ahead and take all this stuff off now that the layout I know I want to do is going to work. Okay, it's chunky. This feels nice. Probably have to take these rubber feet off. Well, maybe. We'll see. I'm very excited for these modular panels. I am excited to hopefully get some more if I said, if I like the temple board and want to stick with it, because I am very excited about the idea to have modular ins and outs and have them do multiple things. And you know what I really want, and if you guys know of a solution as well, I had my own that I kind of did on that other board I showed you in the beginning. But what I really want someone to make, someone who's smarter than me, is a USB hub for pedal boards. And I feel like Walrus Audio, someone from Walrus or someone who knows Walrus happens to be watching, but I feel like it would go great with your guys' Canvas series. You should make like a properly powered and everything USB hub for pedal boards, because I feel like a lot of pedals now are coming with editors, which is great. Like a lot of people are using Quad Cortexes on their board, Helixes, whatever else. The Big Sky has an editor. Like even for me, myself, I have a Strymon Big Sky, a Quad Cortex, and the Morningstar, all of which have their own editors. And if it's on a pedal board, it makes it really hard to access it via USB. So I did a little setup where I just bought like basically a USB hub kind of a thing for like you'd normally use for a MacBook, plugged everything in and set it up like that. And that worked fine, but that doesn't feel like the safest or best solution. So if someone, like I said, someone who's a pedal board builder, pedal manufacturer wants to make a better, more efficient one and then charge me however much they would like to charge me for it, I'll pay you for it. You in there? Okay, cool. Pro tip, if you're installing one of these little IEC things, put in the screw that's on this side first. It's gonna make your life way easier. All right, step one done. It might have been one of the more difficult things to do of the entire build, because I hopefully expect the rest of this to go over pretty chill. So kind of what I've elected to do on my Quad Cortex, I'm going to do the corners and then one in the middle. So let's go ahead and get this Quad Cortex on here, huh? So what I decided to do is I'm going to mount these onto the actual board itself first, then stick them to the Quad Cortex while they're mounted on the board, so I can make sure it's going to line up properly, as opposed to trying to mount them on the Quad Cortex and then mount them on here, hoping it'll line up properly since I'm doing 4 of them. So let's see. So if that's our first one, going right there. Okay. That feels good. So with the power, let's see. This should, that's about flush. Oh, this one actually, let's see. Yeah, that looks good. And I should be able to squeeze this. Might have to take the Quad Cortex off to do that, which is fine. But as long as it's on there straight. All right, cool. Now let's do him, our compressor friend. And we'll do the same thing. So we want, just do one plate in the middle here. Honestly, with this, I feel fine. Just watch me eat my words. But with this, I feel fine just putting it. No, I don't actually. Let's do. Yeah, that feels good. So I put that there like that. That should sit there about in the middle. That still gives me plenty of room for him. Okay. Nice. Again with this, I want to see if I can leave the little rubber pads on the bottom of the wireless. Like that should be good, like right there. Okay. I will say so far, obviously I've only just been putting them on. I do like how solid this feels. Okay, that feels fine. That feels good. And then him last. So yeah, the main thing with this is I need to see. Let's just go and see if we can try it. Well, with that. That looks like that will just barely fit. So we'll have to do a little, but that will fit. Okay, cool. Honestly, I might even leave this in. So we're gonna use our last 2 pedal plates for this. And we're gonna kind of, because this is about, yeah. So we'll do just like that. And then we'll slip that through the bottom. Okay. This is just barely hanging off the edge here, but that's okay. I'd rather this be barely hanging off the edge than the Quad Cortex be any higher than it is. But yeah, I mean that's the layout. I feel like that's pretty good. Everything looks pretty straight. It's probably not perfect, but that's the layout of the board. And then now the fun part of just wiring everything up. So I'll see you guys when hopefully this is all done. Okay, so I've got everything wired up now. I haven't done any like cable management yet on the underside, but the power supply is all underneath here. And then I'm gonna, once everything's powered on and working, then I'll kind of tie everything down finally. But this is the layout. I did end up switching the compressor and the wireless because I realized the guitar, the Quad Cortex is going to the compressor, then compressor to wireless, and then wireless, wireless. And then if I want to as well, I could probably hardwire in this jack to the side if I wanted to be able to do that. Which I might do now that now that I'm thinking about this in this layout, it might either be smart to either actually flip them back or get one of the side mounts for this in case something goes bad with the wireless. I mean, worst case scenario, I could pull out this cable here and then just run without the compressor for a little bit, which would be, not ideal, but not the end of the world. But actually I might, now that I'm thinking about this logistically, I actually might switch them back. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and get this plugged in and see. So flip that on. Nice. Okay, cool. That took a second. But everything's powered on. This is looking good to go. Cool, we're looking good. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and tie everything down and then maybe we'll get some sound samples going. Guitar using my NF53, the SE NF53. I think this is gonna be the main guitar on tour. I am gonna be making another video going over some details about that next, so be sure to like and subscribe. But yeah, the main sounds that I'm using the new double patch from Neural in the Core OS 3 update. And yes, this is kind of my bass tone for this song. All right, what's up guys? So we are here playing at the Bella Concert Hall tonight in Calgary. And I just want to give you an update on how the board's been kind of holding together and what everything was like. So got the setup over here, just like this, and Quad Cortex has been great. Using the Cali 76 compressor, it is on 100% of the time. It's on all night. Don't turn it off at all. So this is just going into the front of the Quad Cortex. This tape is here. I'm not hiding my settings at all. It's just here to keep the knobs from twisting and turning while it's getting in and out of the case. Of course, got our wonderful Stormtrooper pick tin. That had to make it along. The Morningstar, this is probably the most underused thing on this pedal board. This is an incredibly powerful MIDI controller that is literally just used to turn on and off my tuner and change the view. I was gonna try and set it up to kind of be a backup in case I needed to manually change presets on the Quad Cortex, but I ended up not having time. Thankfully, we have not had any issues, but we are going MIDI out via USB. That's just being controlled over at our Ableton playback rig, so I don't have to step on anything, but I've got the Quad Cortex kind of set up to where if I need to, I can bank through each song and each preset is already mapped out if I needed to do it manually. But thankfully that hasn't happened yet. Hopefully that won't happen tonight. The Shure Wireless has been great. I don't use the tuner at all on this because I have the Quad Cortex tuner, which is much better, but haven't had any signal cutting in and out or anything. The battery is awesome. It lasts like probably 5 or 6 shows if I really wanted to push it, but I'll usually do a couple shows and then charge it back up. But yeah, and then as well, the receiver I actually threw on one of the little temple plates, so I'll actually bolt this in right here at the end of the night so that can stay there and it's nice and secure. Really loving the temple board as well. I think I'm gonna stick with these. It's been super secure all tour. The guitar has been the same guitar all tour. I was going back and forth between this and my Sir, but this ended up winning over, and it's the only guitar I use all night. It's absolutely fantastic. This is the NF53, the SE version from PRS. The only thing I've done to it is I put a new nut on it and put some locking tuners on it, but this guitar is incredible. It's used for the whole show, every single song. Probably gonna pick up another one at some point after this run because I love it so much. Yeah, trying to think of anything else. Drummers. This is our other guitar that we're using. This is predominantly being used by Alex, but it is a Orangewood Brooklyn ML. It's got an LR Bags, I believe it's the, I don't remember what LR Bags is in here. I'll put it on the screen, but this has been awesome. It sounds really, really good plugged in. We're just using it just through a Boss TU3, and I use it for one song. Alex uses it for most of them, but this has been a great guitar for the road. It sounds great. It stays in tune fairly well, and that's everything guitar-wise. So it's been a fun tour. Everything's held up great, and